kind of a general question, but because you haven't been in this role before, describe your offensive philosophy and what you want to kind of bring to the table here.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just want to play. We want to play fast, right? We want to be physical. We want to be aggressive. We want to be explosive. We want to be detailed. We want that to show up on tape each and every week. When somebody looks at our tape, we want those things to show up, and that's what we're going to shoot for.
Why was Justin Fields the right guy to lead what you wanted?
Yeah, he is just a talented individual on all facets. He's obviously a physically talented player, right? Everybody talks about the running. Well, the guy's got an arm too, and he does a great job with that. And mentally, he's phenomenal. He's been absolutely phenomenal so far, and we expect more out of that. And there's just a lot of things that you can do with that type of player that is going to put stress on a defense and make that defensive coordinator stay up late at night, as we get going into this thing.
Statistically, he showed signs of improved Fields over the last 6 games last year, and even going toward the end of that last year in Chicago. What did you see specifically over those last 6 to 12 games that said there's something to build with there?
Yeah, it's just growth. Going through his career, just continuing to stack experience along with it, and then ultimately ends up winning 4 games out of the 6. And you just see some of the things that are starting to develop in his game, and then you look at that and you go, that's pretty good. We can do some things with that, and that's kind of, I think, where it started. And then of course all the other things that everybody talks about, that's real. Those things are real, and we're excited to get going with him.
How ready do you feel, Tanner, for this role to move into the offensive coordinator job?
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely ready. I mean, I'm excited to be in it. I mean, I've been in a coordinator role before at multiple different places. Obviously, not in the NFL, but I think 9 years or something like that, right, as a coordinator. And so I feel 100% confident. I'm excited for this opportunity.
Was there any chance you were going to stay in Detroit? I mean, obviously, everyone kind of knew Ben and AG were hot candidates.
Sure.
With Ben, was there a chance that you were going to stay in Detroit and take Ben's spot?
Yeah, I think everything was on the table, at the end of last year. We had a lot of team success, and, as they say, a rising tide lifts all ships, right? And so my name was going to get thrown around a few things, and I was prepared for that. The year before, I had a couple opportunities to have a few conversations with teams. Was happy that I was able to go back, and this year, everything was on the table, whether it was ultimately coming here and or whatever else it might have been. There was, conversations had for sure.
Tanner, what do you take from Ben and what you learned from him? Because obviously he's had a pretty good body of work success.
Yeah.
What do you, not giving up any trade secrets, but what are the philosophies or whatever you bring here?
Yeah, I would say Ben is an elite teacher. And really what you take from that is be clear and concise with the information you're giving to the players, and be detailed. Be the most detailed person at your job that you can be, and leave no doubt to the players of what their job is. I think that was one of the best things that he did.
What was your kind of role there under him, or as pass game coordinator or whatever? Like, what were you doing during the week and on game day?
Yeah, a lot of my time was spent game planning the pass game. A lot of my time was spent game planning the pass game on a weekly basis, running meetings with what we call it the pass pod, the skill position group. Meeting with the quarterbacks at times. Again, that can be the receivers, tight ends. Just being involved in all those different positions in any aspect of the pass game.
Did you call plays in the XFL, or was the last time at San Diego?
Yeah, Pep and I both called plays in the XFL. So it was kind of a shared duty. He did a little bit more of it to begin with, and then we played around with how we wanted to do that as it went on in the 5 games that we got.
You're coming from an offense where you had the prototypical pocket passer in Goff, and now you have one of the best running quarterbacks. So how is that a little out of your comfort zone? Like, what kind of transition is that for you to make that adjustment?
Yeah, I think it just opens things up more. That's all. It just adds another layer to what we can do with where we're going on offense.
What are your thoughts of Bruce Hall?
Love him. Love him. Comes to work, works hard, good guy around the players, leads by example, talented. I love everything about it.
What can he do in this side? I mean, you have some skill players. You got some weapons here. What can they do against Justin?
Specifically, Brees?
Brees, Garrett. I mean, like I said, you have a lot. So.
Yeah. Again, that is that is a blessing, right? To come into a place and already have weapons in place. And Brees, he's shown in his career that he can run the football, whether it's inside between the tackles, whether it's outside, and in the pass game. He's caught a ton of passes in his career, which is very beneficial for us. Garrett has shown to be an explosive player, and we're going to hopefully continue to do that. I know AG talked about, hey, what are we going to do with Garrett? We're going to give him the ball as much as we can. And you know what? I'm in on it. And so I feel really good about that, about those guys.
Other than Ben Johnson, who was that greatest influence on you?
Other than Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell was a great influence on me. Okay, and the first coach that I ever coached for in 2005 was Jim Harbaugh, and I worked for him as well again in 2018, and always kept in touch with him. So I think he had some influence on me early on as a young coach at 23 years old, and going forward, and then being around Pep. And always knowing to have solutions, have answers to the test before you get there. I'd say those guys are the ones that have been the most.
Have you reached out to Harbaugh since you got the job? Have you spoken to Jim at all since you got the job?
You know what? Yeah, we saw each other down at the Combine this year. It was great.
Have you? I mean, is there a time to have a conversation about? Obviously he's done all of these roles before. He's been incredibly good at that. Has he imparted any wisdom to you at all on taking this first time?
We didn't necessarily get into it a lot with that. It was a little bit, the last couple times we've talked has just been a little bit more, how you doing, how are things, how's your family, and those types of stuff. But so.
Did you stay in touch with Muji after San Diego State, or is this kind of the first time you guys back?
Yeah, it's a great question. Muj and I did not continue keep in touch, call it for 15 years or something like that, and then I kind of ended up in Detroit, and then having those, seeing Kevin O'Connell, and then all of a sudden you see Muj, and then even another guy who was our quarterbacks coach as well, all in that same quarterback room at San Diego State. You just kind of rekindle that, and as the years have gone on, whether it's at the Combine or just texting or talking, you kind of rebuild that relationship, and so it's been really good.
It's pretty wild that you guys are in these roles now, right?
Yeah, it's pretty cool, I would say, right? I mean, it's I'd say that's pretty unique. There's a handful of us out of that same quarterback room from San Diego State that are in pretty good positions right now, and we're just hoping to make the best of it with what we have right now and get this thing going.
How is working with AG? Is he pretty much just leaving you alone? I mean, are you running the entire show, or how much input does he have in the office?
Yeah, AG is the head coach, right? And we're going to do as AG wants, and but he's also given me some freedom to do what we feel is best with our scheme and our players.
When you look at Detroit, a lot of it obviously I think started with the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
How many resources they pulled in that? You look at this offensive line, the last 2 first-round picks for tackles.
Yeah.
And Jared Tucker's a tackle. What do you think the offensive line you have in place? It doesn't seem like a start from scratch kind of line.
Yeah, you said it, right? I feel really good about it. I like the room. We have a bunch of good people and guys that are willing to take the coaching and willing to work hard. And that's really what it starts with. Are they talented? Yeah, we have some talented players in that room, clearly. But they're good guys to be around. They're good with their teammates, and I believe that we'll be able to lean on those guys.
Tanner, you've been around AG for a few years now, and what are the things that you've noticed about him as a leader?
Yeah.
He seems obviously very take charge type of guy, and what you're seeing him bring to this building.
He's setting the tone for the standard of what this building is, what the expectation is, and he's truthful about it. He's not going to sugarcoat it. He's just going to tell you how it is with the truth. What do you need to hear, and what is that truth? We're not going to go around it and beat around the bush. It's going to be this is the expectation, this is the standard, and here it is. You take it or you leave it, and this is the way we're going to go. And I think guys are buying into that. Guys are seeing it and they're going, yes, I like this. I know where we're going, and I can start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Where are we going? Why are we going there? And he's done a phenomenal job with that.
And players want to hear the truth, I gather, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
It's always the way it's been, right?
No question. Absolutely. You give them the truth. Give them the truth, and then decisions can be made from there.
With Fields, you reference his arm,
Yeah.
we know his legs, and I think Aaron at the meetings was talking about him being a total quarterback. How do you kind of do that, but also not take away what's made him special? His legs kind of separate him from your average quarterback. So how do you kind of do one and don't lose the other?
Yeah. I think we get him involved. We teach him the system, right? The core of the system, right? This is what we have. This is the basic installation. Get him to understand the concepts. Get him to understand the progressions. Get him to play fast. Get him to play on time and in rhythm. And then when things break down, he's got those things, that he can rely on when things aren't exactly the way we want it to be. In addition, as you said, he's got the legs, so that does show up in the run game to some degree as well.